Hey everyone, it's amethyxtnix and welcome back to my channel. At long last, I finally have another speed build video for you all. I think it's been 3 months since my last proper build, but I am actually so excited to finally showcase this to you all. So, not gonna lie, this build took me ages to finish. But firstly, this is in collaboration with my wonderful friend Lena, aka Cozy Simmer. So we actually decided to do a collab together at the start of the year, and of course we were tossing ideas with each other until she came up with this idea of doing a build swap related to each other's culture, each other's country. So basically she ended up doing a build from the Philippines, as I am Filipino, and I'm doing a build all the way from Europe, which is Netherlands. So in particular, I am somewhat replicating, to the best of my ability, a city in the Dutch province of North Brabant called Willemstad. So this city in particular, or town I guess, was of course chosen by Lena, and I definitely agree with her. The place is stunning from what I've seen in Google Earth anyway. So I will try and do some photo overlaying magic right now to show you all what my sources of inspiration were while I was creating this build, which meant that basically I had Google Earth open on one screen and Sims on the other. Now, originally we were supposed to actually release this collab last month. Why did it take so long? Basically, life and work. As I mentioned in my last video, I had a bit of an unplanned sabbatical from playing, from creating, from building in The Sims. There was neither motivation nor inspiration. So I actually started this build back in February, and because of my unplanned sabbatical, I didn't return to it until late April. Hence, I am very thankful for Lena for being so patient and understanding this whole time. Now, the other reason why it took me so long is because I created this build in what was originally the Von-Windenburg estate, which is a 64 by 64 lot, which is a lot size that I have not built in before. But I knew from the beginning anyway that what I wanted to showcase required a huge lot. And so everyone, this is my version of Willemstad, Netherlands. Now, a little history from Google about this city, and apologies for any mispronunciation coming your way shortly. So, Willemstad is considered as one of the most beautiful fortified towns in the Netherlands. Originally, this town was actually called Ruggenhill. So how did Ruggenhill become now known as Willemstad? So, Willem van Oranje, also known as William the Taciturn or William the Silent, was the main leader of the Dutch Revolt against the Spanish Habsburgs. So, while he was fighting a battle against the Spaniards, he had Ruggenhill reinforced in 1583 to become the fortified city we now know today as Willemstad. Plus, Ruggenhill's location was actually perfect to control the shipping between Antwerp, Zeeland, and Holland. Now, the Habsburg King Philip II offered a reward on Willem's head in 1580, and after a failed attack in 1582, Balthasar Gerard succeeded in assassinating Willem in 1584. Now, Willem's assassination is notable for being the first recorded political assassination of a head of state with a firearm, and it wasn't to be heard of again until more than 200 years later, when Gustav III, who was the King of Sweden, was fatally wounded at a midnight masquerade in 1792. Okay, now let's go back to Willem. His son Moritz, who was now Prince van Oranje, renamed Rugenhill as Willemstad after his death and granted the fortress city rights. He expanded the fortress from originally a 5-pointed star to a 7-pointed star. So, from my research, the bastions on the tips of the stars were each named after one of the 7 provinces that was standing united against the Spanish. So Willemstad stood the test of time, or rather centuries, from the regime of the French Emperor Napoleon to the conquests by the Germans. And the military constructions remained standing to this day, forming a beautiful historical decor of the defensive line of Willemstad. Now, there were definitely a few things from the images which I showed you, I hope, earlier in the video that I wanted to recreate in The Sims. So, almost the whole street of Benedincade I tried to showcase in my build. Now everyone, I actually Google searched how to pronounce that street name, and it does not show up on Google at all. So again, apologies. So the first building, which you might have saw me doing, is the arsenal, or one of the military buildings in this town. So it was built in 1792, and it was designed by Philip Willemstad, and during the 1920s it was used to store military goods, but it is now being used for social and cultural activities. Now, what you're seeing in the screen at the moment is the white exterior building. So I wanted to recreate that building next to it because its white exterior was just so striking amongst the brown brick exterior of its surrounding buildings. And then, of course, I also had to build the Vetwapen restaurant, which was my original starting point location when Lena told me about this place. So not only do they actually serve food, but they also have furnished rooms on the second floor. Now, one of the things that I loved whilst quotation marks strolling along the street in Google Earth is the varying heights of the buildings, the different roof shapes, and even the red barn looking windows, which is striking against the light brown exterior of the building. So that, I believe, is a yachting store. So Willemstad is a historic, quaint harbor where you would actually see yachts parked, and so I guess a yachting store is very fitting. And when I was trying to finish off this build, the last building in this row was looking empty. It was looking vacant. And in the pictures that I have seen, it actually didn't have anything besides a few cars parked. So I improvised. The street anyway had rows of restaurants and cafes overlooking the harbor. So even though it had cafes and restaurants situated somewhere else in the street, I decided to place one in that last building anyway. And of course, which you probably saw me doing already, I didn't forget to include that stately white windmill at the harbor's end. So it's called De Oranje Molen. I'm so sorry, don't know how to pronounce that. That is another thing that Google couldn't help me with. And anyways, basically it used to be a round stone flour mill until it has been turned into a private residence. Now, unfortunately, I was not successful in properly creating the windmill part of the windmill in the game. So again, improvisation. I improvised a lot. I do apologize, Lena. That's the best that I could do. And yes, the windmill did have two colors, light brown and white. I also wanted it to be somewhat functional, so I ended up putting a telescope in the top level with floor length windows. So when I say telescope, I meant that really huge telescope looking that the sim has given us. And I also littered it with some ivy from cottage living. Now, you won't see it yet, but on the other side of the street is a row of houses which seem to be interconnected with each other from what I have seen in Google Earth, or it can just be a very long house, which I ended up doing anyway, that I just made it a very long house. So I wanted to recreate that as well. Now, Willemstad is lined with very attractive houses, and some of the entrances to their front doors, they kind of have like this little wooden bridge crossing a narrow channel of water, and it was pretty. And I saw that while I was leisurely, quotation marks, strolling in Google Earth. Now, besides enjoying trying to replicate the different buildings, I actually enjoyed landscaping this build. Not gonna lie, it was difficult. And in the end, after I've finished the details on the actual building themselves and the street itself, I really did close Google Earth and all other reference photos, and I just went from my imagination and how I wanted to bring more life into my build. I mean, they did have plants and trees lining the edges, but for some of them I just went to town. And there were areas in my build where, for example, another building would be situated there in real life, but because of the restrictions in the game and the lot size, and I guess on the choices that I have made to replicate which buildings in my build, I wasn't able to do that. So then I utilized it to put more greenery in it. Now, I really did just focus mainly on the exteriors of the street and not so much the interior. And I did put up lighting and a few decorations here and there that is visible through the window, but other than that, the interiors itself are mostly empty. But I really did enjoy creating this. It was a challenge, not just because of the lot size, but it's also because I didn't focus on just one building, but instead, I focused on a couple of buildings. And those are some of the things that I haven't really done before in my previous speed builds. And the different roof shapes as well, because it's not just a standard kind of, let's say, a half gabled roof shape. There are so many things to differentiate each building, from the use of doors, from their use of windows, to the roof shape. So that was a challenge in itself. And of course, it was a challenge because I wanted to do it justice, especially since this is one of Lena's favorite places to visit. This is what she wanted me to recreate in The Sims, to represent her culture, to represent her country. So I know it is not perfect, but I hope I did you proud. So really thank you again to Lena for doing this collab with me, and for being such a patient and understanding friend. This was such a lovely collab and a lovely idea. Recreating this didn't just quench my thirst for, creativeness, but it also sparked a part of me that has always loved history, because I was doing last minute research about the different buildings that I've put in this build. So thank you. I will link her socials down below, so everyone do give her a follow and subscribe. She is an excellent builder, and I learn something new every time I watch her build, because she streams as well. So check her out. Don't forget to check her out. And again, everyone, as we are slightly nearing the end of this video, please remember to stay till the end, as I will have screenshots of what my build looks like both in daytime and nighttime. I think I really love the nighttime part, what my build looks like at night. I really do like it. And I may or may not have another speed build video coming up sometime this month, depending on how quick my editing skills are. So please keep a lookout for that, and I do hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to like and comment, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. It would mean so much to me if you do. So that is it from me, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on to the next one. Goodbye.